Pepsi.
Cherry Pepsi. Hello, world, and welcome to our podcast. We're two pals. Well, let's make it three pals with different
Three
viewpoints
pals.
and thoughts who really don't know much, fly by the seat of our pants, discuss news, politics, conspiracy theories, and much, much more. Two are a genius, the other's an idiot.
Which one
Or they all are
specifically?
they all idiots?
Or are they all geniuses?
I think they're all idiots.
You be the judge. Now, live from beautiful Central Florida, welcome to Political No Brainer. We're your hosts. To your right and moderately right, I'm Zach and Derek. And then to your left, who's going to be left out in the cold? That's Coach Trippi. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Zach, Derek, great to see you guys.
is
So I
the
think I think we're trying to folks, we're trying to convince Derek to come on as our third host. I watch I don't know if you guys do you ever watch that podcast called Ninjas Are Butterflies?
I've been a little here and there.
They're awesome. They're hilarious. They do great stuff, conspiracy theories. But it's two guys and a girl, right? Or is it three guys and a girl?
I don't remember, but I did watch it the other day when you sent me the link.
Right. Anyway, I catch clips and they're like two of them look really very similar. So there may be three guys or maybe just
it
two.
probably
I don't
just
know.
depends on the day how they identify.
No, I believe they're conservative. I don't believe they identify as anything
I
pro.
think conservatives are starting to identify now.
Yeah, it's gonna flip-flop now.
Oh,
See?
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, boy, we're gonna get on the action.
Oh my
We want all the
gosh.
benefits.
Hey, here's a quick question for you. Did you happen to notice Jill Biden, when she went voting, was wearing all red?
Red.
I think she
You know,
switched
my
teams.
conspiracy theory, I don't know if it came off the show with that, but what I was hearing is between Biden's Trump hat and her red suit and a number of other things we've seen like in the last week with the burgundy colored suits and ties.
Yeah.
My con not that this is really a conspiracy theory, but like the rumor, that's kind of out there is like that Biden voted for Trump.
I heard this. I heard he was so pissed at what happened, he voted for Trump.
You think he did?
I I don't know. I mean, that's a great conspiracy. And if it turns out to be true, holy boy, that would turn the world on
Will
a
we ever know, though?
Would it really matter?
I don't
Why?
you know it was I will say this. Trippy, we were talking about this the other day. He is getting old. And did you see him walking on the beach? Oh, it was
Speaking of trippy,
look,
yeah.
it's heartbreaking. I feel bad for the guy. It's it's no longer fun to make fun of him because he's just that
He's
dude's
getting old. He's getting old.
yeah, but
I honestly like
Jimmy Carter's like old and like I think Jimmy Carter could walk across the beach better than Joe Biden did.
that dude's Methuselah. That's not even old. He's out of the
Well,
old
I think he does
category.
have Parkinson's. I mean, not that I think it, but there was a doctor with that degree, I guess you would say, in movement, a doctor, and said it looked like Parkinson, his gait and the fact that he has to hold things when he's going around a chair or something. So
Does he you think he has Alzheimer's or dementia also because he's forgetting things and
Parkinson's can turn into Alzheimer's. I don't know what he has.
tell him to
Parkinson's is physical degeneration, though. I don't know if
start
that.
smoking
Well, it's
weed.
the serotonin to your brains because you can
True.
lose
Yeah,
your
that's true.
One of
yeah.
my friends has it and he shakes, but I call him Captain Shakes. But when he's working with his hands, he's a carpenter and everything. You would never even know. But when he's just
That's
sitting around,
nice.
or if he's stressed out, or if it's just one of those days, he starts shaking and he has trouble, like he has to lean against things. But the minute he's working, it goes away. I told him he needs to start smoking weed. I'm just telling you.
I don't know if that's gonna help.
I voted Amendment 3.
You said you didn't.
I'm kidding. I didn't. We
What was
discussed
that?
it. That was the weed amendment,
Legalize weed or make it
legalizing
just
weed.
across the board legal.
But if you did a deep dive into it, we did a whole show on it, but I'll just do a synopsis. If you do a deep dive into it, you'll see that it's almost like the company that wrote the legislation for it basically wants it to be like big pharma. I mean, they're the only weed company. You'll get arrested if you grow it. Look, man, if good old Cletus out in the woods want to grow some weed for himself to smoke, who cares,
No one should care.
right? It's the garbage coming across the border laced with fentanyl and or just garbage in general is just That's what we should care about. Billy Bob out in the woods in Kentucky growing a nice batch of California, cents a million. Who cares? Smoke, smoke, smoke. They basically made it so you couldn't sell it yourself. You had to go to a distributor. But unlike cigarettes, because tobacco is the only thing mentioned in no smoking is tobacco or tobacco products. Uh, Cannabis is not considered tobacco, so you can smoke cannabis anywhere. So I had a problem with that, like sitting in a movie theater and some guy sparking a J next to me. I'm not good with that. Or
Well,
at a
you can't
restaurant.
smoke in a movie theater either.
Well,
No, but
he just got done explaining that smoking was only tobacco based, which
right, but not
I would have
weed.
I would have to know your sources for that because I find it hard to believe
Ron
that
Yeah,
DeSantis.
that
I
could
don't know.
ever
Governor
that
Ron DeSantis said it. He said there's so many loopholes that they
Oh,
would
then
be
it's
going.
true.
They said they'd be going over it for years trying to fix it.
it got like 57 or 58%. You realize both of those 3 and 4 got over half, but they had to get 60% to pass.
60%.
They both
Hey,
got 57 or 58%.
you know what second place is, right? The
First
first
loser.
loser. There you go.
Yep.
So they didn't get enough, so they lost.
But that
I know,
just
but
means,
what I'm saying is there was either an overwhelming ignorance or overwhelming support, right? Either one.
Right. And look, I didn't know enough about it. Obviously, Amendment 4, that's a no for me anyway. But
Yeah.
Amendment 3, I didn't know enough about it. I would have voted yes if I hadn't listened to a town hall meeting with DeSantis and a bunch of other people, and they pulled it apart and talked about every piece of it. And I realized it's all about this company
It's
making
all about
money.
control. It's all about a profit control. I voted no on it too
100%.
because, like, honestly, I don't give two hoots to be. I don't like it. It's annoying to me. I don't do it. I don't have time for it. But I know some people who like function incredible off it. Like if me, I've done it in high school and like it just makes me upset and mad and go to bed and I wasted the whole night. Probably did it 5 times in my life. So
Let
I
me
don't
tell you,
really care.
I can
I don't
tell
want.
you, I
But you know what? I've seen people where it's been a gateway drug to horrendous things. I've seen people who just it's part of their lifestyle. I've seen people where it's just slowly kind of turned them kind of slow, and I've seen people who are ultra high performing athletes on it. So like to regulate and control, that's a very difficult thing.
but
But when I
alcohol is the
look
same
at
thing.
alcohol's worse, but when I in excess, I'll say, but when I saw that measure to legalize or vote against it or whatever you want to call it. At first I was like, I don't really care, I just think it's stupid. Maybe I won't know, but whatever. I don't care if people do it. But then I don't know if I saw the same town hall or read the same type of thing too, but I was like, oh, this is just this is
It was a money
channel
grab.
or it's a pedestal for someone to make a lot of money
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
control it. Nah, I'm not. Nah.
yeah.
well,
So
the problem I have with the amendment process in Florida, I thought it was a great process in the beginning, and now I'm starting to realize the amount of money these companies and these lobbyists are spending to get these ballots on, to get these amendments on the ballot. Apparently, like Zach said, the company who had the most to gain from this amendment spent about $125 million to get it on there. And then suddenly, when you're spending that kind of money, you know there's something in it for them, and I'm pretty much going to vote no for all the amendments
How do
from the.
you expense that on your P&L? Especially if it
I
doesn't pass, right? Like if
well,
it
yeah,
passes, what do you call it?
a
R&D.
loss.
If it doesn't pass, what do you just call that? Like miscellaneous law? Oh, miscellaneous $120 million loss.
It's
What you
insane.
want to
Maybe
talk about the crap that they got Trump on,
they
right?
call
As
it
nominees.
advertising,
Holy
maybe.
crap. Like, then what is that, right? That is the dirtiest, most immoral, gross, sticky finger line on a P&L I could ever imagine seeing.
What about, all right, let's talk
Yeah, we
about that.
bribed to get this passed through to increase our bottom line. So that's just a loss leader right there. Oh, okay, great. Sounds good. We won't pay taxes on that.
What about
I think it's insane.
That's insanity.
what about between the two candidates raising what is it? They each spent
Over $2
over
billion.
yeah. That's ridiculous. You could have fed how much did we figure everybody in America would get $6?
What didn't the Democrats overspend by 120 million?
Yeah, yeah.
That's when they I
Didn't they
think
pay Beyonce
they
$11 million for that crappy little
she didn't even
fantasy
sing.
intro? What the heck, man? How
Well,
do
they
you
had the
do
money.
that?
That's the issue.
No, the issue is taking that too. That is just filthy rotten. I don't know. That's disgusting, man.
They
That's
paid they
people.
paid Beyonce like 11. They paid
That's
Slim.
almost as disgusting as how our government uses our tax money.
No, I
It's,
think it's worse.
I
How
don't
I
how would
know.
think
you how would you like to be known as a
Sellout.
Republican or Democrat Party puppet, paid puppet? Basically, we're going to pay you $11 million to come introduce the next alleged
I
president.
think you lose more because you lose a part of your audience that's greater than $11 million. I think I think, people are like, shut up, we don't want to hear your opinion, or I, they're like black or white about it. Like celebrities should, yes, they should use this platform, or no, we don't care. How about go ahead, say what you like, but don't frickin' try to press that on anyone else, right? You can be
Right.
a human, you can have a political viewpoint. No one else has to have the same. Don't ostracize your audience.
Well, you have
Like,
extremists on both sides. I will say that. I
sure.
mean, look at like
It's
Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee was completely like a lunatic. Like he said stuff that even like Democrats were like, "Bro, you need to stop. Take that down."
yeah,
You know? And then you got,
that's
Ted
that.
Nugent or Kid Rock. I mean, I happen to like them, but everybody on the left thinks they're complete lunatics. I get
Kid
it.
Rock, Kid Rock made a really cool post-election little Unity video. Did you see it? It was on
No,
TMZ.
I
I
didn't
don't, you
see
have to
it.
look it up on TMZ,
Okay.
but it was
I
a,
want to see it now. I like Kid Rock.
well, you'll have to, Zach, you'll have to get the ability to have like a Joe Rogan assistant to pull stuff up on the screen so we can do
Well,
it.
when
But
we get famous, we'll be able to hire one.
yeah, for sure. We'll have someone who knows how to
So,
do that.
Bucky's, if you'd like to sponsor us,
We could use it.
we we
We'll
want to
spend it
hire
all on an
an
assistant.
assistant who can do Bucky's commercials while we're in the middle of doing a podcast. Bucky will run across the screen. I'll eat some golden nuggets or whatever those beaver nuggets. That's what they're called.
Hold
I
on.
didn't like them. I tried them. I didn't
No,
like
they're too
them.
sweet. It's
Yeah.
caramel. It was too sweet, but they're
So,
brisket.
guys, let me ask this question. Are you
Uh,
guys excited
I was talking about
About
their
what?
brisket.
about Trump's victory?
Yes, extremely.
So so
So are my customers. Thank you.
I hate to say it, Trippy. I haven't rubbed it in your face in a couple days, so
Yeah,
But
how
here's
many?
my thing. Okay, what is it
I'm gonna
we're
do it for four
expecting?
years.
Because I love to tell this story about
Yeah.
when Robert Gates, he was Bush's defense secretary and then Obama's defense secretary. He stayed on, and when he left the position, he did a little essay or an exit interview, and he talked about all the presidents he worked for. And the one thing he said was that I found interesting. He said a lot of things in the exit interview, but he said Jimmy Carter was a good president. He just had too many priorities. And I'm starting to wonder if Trump's going to ever stop with the He's got a list. Do we really think he can accomplish everything or any of it?
Well, yeah. You're just terrible lead in terms of no pres. When is the last president who's had this much power at all branches? Right. So like,
It's been numerous
I,
times.
it's been a while.
But it's been a while. But you
Did
have to
did did
realize here's another
Obama
thing.
have
Okay, so let's go into
did
examples
Obama
of
have the
power of
House and
all
the
branches
Senate?
and the power that that brings. So, for example, let's talk about Donald Trump's talking about closing the education department. Close it. I'm all for it.
Yep.
But
Bye
you have to
bye.
realize one of the ways that the Republicans kept the House was by flipping numerous seats in California. Those flipped seats are moderate Republicans. I doubt any of them in the House will vote for closing the Department of Education. So I don't
Right.
know how much power, that control in the House will bring. It's a small majority. It is a majority. I give you that. They kept the Senate, but also you have to realize in the Senate, people like Joe Manchin and I think Senator Sinema retired.
Cinema.
So those were Democrats,
Get it
not
right,
really Democrats,
Kamala.
huh?
It's
Kamala,
it's cinema, Kamala. It's cinema. Sorry, keep going. I'm
Sinema.
just being smart, but
So those
I
were
thought it was camel toe.
oh geez.
it's chameleon.
So I don't know, knowing he has both the House and the Senate, yes, as far as party lines go, but when it comes to voting for some of these things, and I'm all for closing the Department of Education. I think it's gotten too vast. It's too vast in scope. I don't know what it's accomplishing anymore, if anything, but can it be done?
Well, I think like it's going to be difficult doing any of this with the. By the way, Trump's live at Mar-a-Lago right now. making more announcements. So it's just getting real interesting to look at all these appointments. It's pretty
I was
cool
going to
for
ask
the
you. All right, let's get into the dream team.
well, let's finish this one too. Just to because there's so much to talk about here, but um
If he
I
accomplishes,
think every head of department and director at every bureaucratic agency is locked in and um I don't know the word, but they've got footholds and on a variety of angles. It's going to be difficult to close anything because you're going to have a lot of fight. With the difference
right?
when Trump first came in versus now, he didn't know DC. He took a lot of advice for his appointments. He didn't have the majorities everywhere. Where now it's like he kind of knows the swamp. He's appointing his own people. He's intentionally appointing disruptors, which I love. I don't care if like Matt Gaetz, right? That's a controversial pick, but and I'm not a huge Matt Gaetz fan, to be honest with
But
you. I
will it
like
get confirmed?
well, I right, TBD. But I love the disruptor, standpoint, and I love the majority standpoint because it's like, okay, what's good? This is going to be great because you're going to have just a bloodbath between the head of these departments and the fact that he's a majority, and then he's got business people like he's got Elon and Vivek running Doge with a commitment by the 250th anniversary to have a third of the government chopped off. That's 2 trillion. Okay. We're gonna have some serious battles. And honestly, like I don't think it's gonna be like a general pop divisiveness. I think it's gonna be like a DC, and this needs to happen. It's gonna be a DC blow up. It's gonna be an internal bomb, right? It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great for the people because they're gonna see like, dude, this is our money. This is our money. We are the boss. Like, shut up. We're like that needs to happen. There needs to be a little touch of libertarianism in everyone right now to say we can't keep throwing our money away, right? I mean, it's still we're a nation where our interest, what is it, like 1.2 trillion in interest every year is
Yeah, on the
gonna
debt, you mean?
it
Yeah.
it will swallow us starting now, not in a year, now. You have to do something about it. And I think we're gonna find, I hope we're gonna find at least some unification in the fact that it's time to trim. It's time to blow crap up.
So
Right or left, it's time to blow some stuff up.
I've said this. Trippy and I talked about this the other day, and I know you agree with me on this, Trippy. I think we need term limits and we need to get some of this old blood out and get some new young blood in there. And
Yeah,
these disruptors that he's talking about, I mean, it could trickle over to possibly the way people vote because they may want to see the Senate and the House get disrupted. Bring in
I would love that.
fresh young blood.
How can that
And
really happen? Like, can we really make this happen where there's term limits? Because
so
I
good. It'd
think
be
term
so good.
limits would be a starting point to the solvency of like 2/3 of all government problems.
I mean, I feel bad
Because think about
because
it, we turned this from a servitude of obligation when we were founded to a
Well,
career
like,
in a non-competitive
was there
field.
always non-term limits for them
I
since
don't
I
day
don't
know.
know that
one?
there's ever been term limits, but the intent was that the House was really just supposed to be concerned citizens going to Washington for 2 years, bringing their local concerns to Washington, and the idea was that they would just stay those 2 years.
Well,
What happened is
no salary.
no salary,
Take away the salaries from all of them.
and what happened is the salaries kind of got big. The perks got really big. I mean, you don't
Perks.
realize, but congresswomen, congressmen, senators are flying around the world to interesting places. Sometimes it may be Afghanistan, but the truth is they're going first class,
Yeah.
and it's a nice lifestyle. They like that lifestyle. So
Yep.
walking away from it would require term limits.
Yep.
What happens with term limits is that it's already kind of being seen as so there's a rumor has it that if Marco Rubio, who's one of the positions I think will be confirmed, becomes Secretary of State,
Yep.
then Ron DeSantis has the ability to appoint Marco Rubio's replacement. And rumor has it he's going to appoint himself. And then and he is term limited out. He is term limited out in Florida. I think he is. I don't think he's able to run for governor again. So he's going to
Right.
kind of
Right,
float
you can
to
only
another
do. Can you do
position.
8 years as governor?
That's what
Yeah, this
he's
is
in
his
his
second
second
term.
term. He's
Right, I'm
6 years
saying that,
in,
but
dude.
that's governor's term limited out.
That's it. 8 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there are in some local positions there's term limits. I know So it happens. Yeah, I can see it happening, but it's about the people demanding it. It's not about will they agree to it. It's about candidates who come into office and say, I will insist, I will leave, and I will
Right.
insist we bring something to the floor that promotes. There was once a movement re-elect nobody. And it had a good momentum, but it fizzled out.
You
Right.
know, I think what changed when we were founded is you had public servants who weren't being paid, who saw it as a, like you said, a debt of obligation, however you want to word it. And most of them were landowners, most of them were wealthy, but most of them, it would be the equivalent if you took 400 guys who owned $10 million a year businesses and wanted to grow the small business economy and didn't take a salary because they didn't need to. They have it passive, like their companies run itself, and you say, "Oh, that's the elites." No, it's not. That is the economy, right? And those are the people making the decisions that say we want a free, fair, capitalist market. We want to put our money back into that. We don't want it going to DC, including our own pockets, and we want to basically grow our competition in our small business again. It
Do
would be
you,
huge.
speaking of salaries, you think Trump's not going to take a salary?
Why would he? Dude, Truth Social just had like
He
a
didn't the first
1.2
4 years.
billion increase in valuation.
Yeah.
What's he need 400K for, dude? None of these politicians make crap for living in DC. Like, what do they average? Like 190K basically, and they
I
live in
think they start
DC.
like at 75 and then it goes up.
Yeah, but like if you're in Congress or whatever, you make about 200, okay? Just give or take. Okay, but when you live in DC, the cost of living, like the average, I don't know, it's one of the most expensive places to live in the world.
Oh yeah, it's like Jersey.
Yeah,
Okay,
Pete
so
Buttigieg said he
you
was.
can barely make it off 200K in DC, which is why half of them don't even live there, by the way. But they ain't making their money off the salary. They're making it off a lot of other things that you do or don't know about. Those defense contracts, those those
Well, that's
those
funny you say
wars,
that.
those lobbyists, those terrible, dirty things, that leftover pile of tax money that didn't get used. There are so many ways they make their money, books, speeches, whatever it may be, that entrench them into defending their territory by staying in that position, which eventually gravitates further away from the voice of the people, regardless if you're a good person. If you or I were in Congress for 35 years and we somehow netted 10 million a year mysteriously in many ways, somehow, some good, some bad, and someone comes in and says, ha, screw you, I'm going to cut. You'd be like, oh no, my family, I'm defending this house, right? I mean, good, bad, you're so entrenched to that point, you can't even be placed in a category. It's just it's just not the way it was meant to be, plain and simple. But you're
Well, I
going to
mean,
defend your turf.
I heard an interesting story about your sister there, Trippy AOC. And
No,
so
don't say
she
that
was
because they
she
who's the
was
other one that's married? Omar.
You know what I always say? Who's AOC? Another obnoxious child?
so she came in there as a total broke bartender. She couldn't even move to DC because she didn't have any money. Like she demanded her salary get paid up front so she could like move to DC. And it started out at 75. She's been in Congress now going on 6 years, I think.
God.
And she's a multi millionaire.
Well, we have to. I don't know that it started out at 75.
But I just also
But I give
heard,
her credit. You know, we've all given her credit. She got out with the clipboard. She got the
I know, and that's
nomination.
all she gets credit for.
That's what I would
Other
like to
than
see more people do. That's what I'll say about her. Her
yeah,
policies fall
grassroots.
into one category, and that's winner takes all politics. And that's why we're in trouble today. That's why we're in the doghouse we're in today, because both parties have dug in their heels in their positions, and there's been no compromise now for going on 16 years.
Well, I just
Yep.
read another article about her. She took down her pronouns off of X, and supposedly she's wearing a MAGA hat now, and she's swallowed the red pill.
Good for her.
I don't know if
Well,
that's
finally
happened.
swallowing the right thing.
Ah, well, there's no children awake yet.
Wait, I gotta get my microphone back to drop it.
That's right.
Um,
So, all right. So Marco Rubio. I think that'd be a good choice.
yep.
I think that'll get confirmed.
What
Pretty
about
sure of
What
that
about
one.
Matt Gaetz as Attorney General?
I
He's gonna have
don't
a
think
tough
that'll get
time.
confirmed.
I do.
How
I'm
about?
I could say this though, but they
Well, he
kind of
didn't.
snubbed.
Trippy didn't think Trump was going to win either. He said there was going to be a
No,
landslide.
but I
So
will say this: they snubbed Trump. He did want the majority leader to be Rick Scott, and Rick Scott got 13 votes and was knocked out in the first, eliminated in the first vote.
I kind of like Rick
So
Scott.
Thune
they're
Thune got
not,
it
huh?
for
James
the Senate
Thune,
Majority Leader.
Senate
Yeah,
Majority Leader,
yeah.
James Thune,
Thune, yeah.
Thune.
Who is
But
he?
he did. Trump did want the Senate Majority Leader to be Rick Scott. That so I can see them
Who
saying
is
no to
Thune?
Matt Gaetz and also Hegsworth. I'm
Steve
real concerned
Hagsworth.
about
All right. Well, let me get on the
that's.
list. Hold on. Don't jump ahead there.
Oh, right, right.
What about Tulsi Gabbard?
No, I
Gabbard,
don't see that one either.
Wait, she got one.
Director
She
of
National
National
Security
Intelligence.
Advisor.
National Intelligence.
Yep, that's good.
I don't think she'll
Robert.
be confirmed. She actually visited Hafez Assad in Syria. That is a leader that gassed his own people. I do not see that working in her favor.
So how often do people not get confirmed? I'm
Yeah, but
ignorant of that.
you had a problem with Trump
In
going over seeing
Trump's
the little
first term, let me
pajama
answer this
guy.
question first. Hang on. But I don't have a problem with anything. I support Trump. I want him to succeed. I don't have a problem with just predicting some things. But in Trump's first term, a lot of his cabinet was acting positions because they were not confirmed. You can have certain people in an acting position, but and not have a confirmation. Sort of like John Bolton was never confirmed under Bush's watch for UN ambassador, but he was the UN ambassador for quite a few years, but he was never confirmed. So his official position was the acting UN ambassador. With when it comes to Tulsi
Wasn't that the same
Gabbard,
with what's his name? The who was the ambassador? John.
Bolton.
No, the big tall guy. Wasn't
For what?
his
For
wife was
what?
the wife was the ketchup guru or the ketchup
Oh,
lady?
John Kerry.
John
Yeah,
Kerry, yeah.
yeah.
John
No, he
Hind.
was what was his position
I
under
thought he was
Henry?
an ambassador.
He no, he was wasn't he the UN
No, I thought he might. Okay, let's look it up. I don't
he was
remember
the
either now.
secretary of
State.
yep.
Isn't that like a UN? Isn't that like an ambassador, a secretary of state?
No, Secretary of State's a big job. UN ambassador is pretty. John Kerry, who served as the 68th United States.
He's the first US special presidential envoy for climate from 2021 to 2024. And that is solely because he does not have his own private jet. It's his wife's, but he doesn't have one. It's
She
not
does have
his.
one though, right?
No. She does. It's not his.
It's his wife's.
Just hers. Well, that's irrelevant.
Right.
Besides the
It's not
besides the
his.
point.
All right. What about RFK?
He'll get
RFK.
confirmed.
I think.
I think he'll do some good
Have you
things.
seen the stuff that's going around showing the now Department of Health lady, the he she, and then they show a picture of RFK next
The
to it with his shirt off.
transgender guy.
He's all buff and built, and,
What's that
and
guy? What's that? What's that?
the
What's
Admiral. What's her name?
Rachel
Rachel
Levine?
Levine.
Is it or whatever?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And then there's
And then see I was watching Gutfeld last night and they were making that comparison and because you know there's all the criticism with Hegseth and they're like, wow, it must be a tough substitution for Rachel Levine and Sam Brinton. It's showing you know who Brinton is, right? The guy who
that's the
steals.
bald guy who looks like Matthew Ben Affleck's buddy, Matt Damon. Doesn't he look like him?
I don't know. He
Who was
wears
stealing
lipstick.
luggage or whatever, and he
He's
wears
stealing
lipstick. Yeah, yeah,
luggage
yeah, yeah.
out of the
And he wears a dress.
luggage carriers. Yes.
Uh, yeah. What about Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary?
I don't know. See, all these freaking people in DC unqualified. Well, Pete's been a career military guy. I mean, I don't care what he's done.
He's got two Bronze Stars.
He has more
Yeah,
boots on
but
the
here's the
ground as
thing.
people can imagine with their little officer training and you know, high
But
horse.
from an administrative standpoint, the Pentagon, the Secretary of Defense has a staff of 1.3 million people. If you've never,
Yep.
like you said, Trump's even in a better position as president now because he understands the inner workings of Washington. If you've never worked in a position in Washington and suddenly you're running the Pentagon, 1.3 million employees, but you're also talking to generals who you have to understand what they're talking about. And there's a lot of corruption within the Pentagon, which allegedly is a is is a problem that no defense chief has ever been able to control. But you've got a guy that has no understanding of how he's going to be, what circles are going to be run around him. That's
Did you ever watch that movie with Kevin Costner? He was in the Navy and he worked at the Pentagon with Gene Hackman and it showed the corruption in the Pentagon.
it's huge. I mean,
There was a murder. So, oh my gosh, why can't I remember the name of the movie? It was a while
No
ago.
Way Out.
No Way Out. Great movie.
I've
Great.
never seen that. I do need to see it now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you a true when Donald Rumsfeld was defense secretary and a serviceman asked him a simple question: why don't we have the protective gear in the armored vehicles we need to keep our faces from getting blown off? And Donald Rumsfeld responded, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you wish you have. And the fact of the matter is, we went into Iraq for the second time. We offered Turkey $15 billion to use their airspace just for supply runs, and Turkey said no. They wanted nothing to do with the operation whatsoever. So we had the materials we needed. We weren't able to get them to the troops. And that's kind of the experience we're going to have with another Secretary of Defense that's not ready to be in that position. We're setting our guys up for a disaster. I mean, going into Iraq the second time, we ran out of fuel and spare parts. There was talk about the guys going to rationing because they didn't have the food they needed to keep going. And that's a concern of mine. It's not political. It's just when you nominate somebody for that position, you need to nominate a person that's ready for that position. Not necessarily who knows if he'll be good at it, but he has to have some experience to do it. Now to say Pete Hegsworth is the guy because he was a two bronze dedicated military person, I just don't see it. I
Well,
don't
you're
think
also,
that's a
that's one argument. The other argument would be the guy you want qualified is so rooted deep in that he's not going to do crap. I mean,
Right.
like, okay, that's like saying you're going to take, that's like saying you need like an innovative position in a company, and instead of giving it to the 35-year-old dude with a bunch of energy and a bunch of good ideas who's going to make a lot of mistakes inherently, but work his ass off 100 hours a week to make it right till he gets it, is worse than hiring the 70-year-old dude who's done things one way his whole life, and they're not the way that you're going, but he's so rooted in his ways that it's going to be that way and it's not going to get you the result. So I think that it's a two-way argument. Like, there's no experience, but you get too much experience, someone who's rooted in what they're doing, then you get the same results too, right? So I don't, that's why I don't 100% agree with you, although I'm not going to say that Hegseth has the experience that might be needed there. I also don't believe in just throwing in like almost like saying a rhino, right? Just another frickin' bureaucrat in there. Like it's just no one wants it anymore. No one wants it
well, I
anymore.
think
And
there's a
there's other people to
balance.
support him too, right? It's like if he has the same support staff as a locked in bureaucrat based on what he has, he can make good decisions. If he's got a crap support staff or a support staff says we're not going to support this guy just because we don't like him or we don't believe in him or we don't I mean, then you have other problems too, but it's not like it's just that person making every single tiny intelligent decision. That's why they have a staff of 1.3 million people.
Right.
It's a matter of can the guy manage it or not.
Right.
Well, I completely agree with you on
And I
most
don't
points.
know. I
Here's
don't
what I
know if he can.
there's when you look at when you take into consideration, you pointed out private sector, so let's take into consideration how Koch Industries does things in the private sector. They let everybody have a seat at the table, and they all bring ideas to the table, and a lot of times they implement those ideas. But there's a top tier management that's listening to those lower tier employees and listening to their ideas and
Yep.
evaluating those ideas. Now Koch Industry has gained in value, I think, 1,000% over the last 40 years. So if I were the president, yeah, I'd want a guy like Pete Headworks on my defense team, but not necessarily the guy to be the defense chief.
Fair
And I
enough.
would want 100 guys like Pete Hegsworth to be on. I would create 100 guys. I
But
mean, you can
also
do that as a
taking
president. You can say we need 100 people, 20 from the Air Force, 20 from the Navy, 20 from the Marines, and we want to have a round table once a month with the top tier people, including a defense secretary that is deep rooted into Washington, but have the president sitting there at the table and telling the guy that's deep rooted into Washington, implement this idea, implement that idea, let's implement this idea. But
I
just
think
to
the
bring
point
this
is that
guy,
top tier management has to have the wisdom to know that all those ideas need to be heard and no, with the knowledge that 9 out of 10 are garbage. in that 1 out of 10 are so simplistic beyond what this tunnel vision was thinking about that they're really good ideas because see, I've been in positions where I've had like engineers out of school just come to me with all these exciting ideas, and I would be very careful not to kick them between the legs because even though 9 out of 10 were awful ideas, they've been vetted a million times, I would have to explain, hey, listen, that's a great idea. Here's what we did. Here's why that didn't work. Here's what we need to look at instead. But I cannot lie that 1 out of 10 of those ideas were so phenomenal. My tunnel vision was so narrow that I would have never caught it. It would have just blown right by me. And I was like, oh my gosh, do that now. This is how we do it. Boom, boom, boom. Wild success. Right. So I think you need to have that level of discernment there too, to
Look at it
say,
also as a
okay, let's listen to it all. Let's not discourage the people from continuing to generate those things because that's where like innovation comes from and change and execution. But then the ability to filter through and say, "Oh my gosh, we would have never thought of that. That's what to do. Let's go at it right now."
Well, I
I
would
mean,
like to see that kind of thinking at the Pentagon, but I'm still concerned about the chief of the Pentagon being somebody that's never been an
yeah,
administrator in
but Trippy,
Washington.
look at the idea like a football team and owner takes a chance on a high school coach who made it maybe did or D tier
Kurt
college,
Warner.
and says, "Hey, why don't we take this guy and let's make him the head coach." And everybody's like, "Dude, he's 20, 30 years old and he's been coaching Pop Warner. What does he know?" And then he comes in and takes him all the way to the Super Bowl. So I mean, you get that young fresh blood in there
John
too.
John Lynch, John Lynch, 49ers,
Yeah.
right? I mean, dude was an incredible player, no experience front office. You throw him in there, and oh my God, they're tearing it up, right? So you same with whoever the Lions coach is, right? I mean, same thing. Like the experience wasn't there in that office position, but when you have enough experience on the ground, and now you can surround yourself with people and the discernment to take it in the right direction. Sometimes you get wild success from that. So I'm
Right, but
I'm, I'm
then
gonna wait to see what happens.
and then you see that when they bring in a revered sculpted coach and he's so set on his ways, like
That
you
he
were
misses
saying, he's
some
tough.
really
He
obvious
misses it
changes.
and they go 0 and 35. They're
Because there's some
garbage.
really tiny, obvious tweaks that he just misses, or the
Yep.
ego just surpasses. Like,
Yep.
I don't need to look at
So
that.
so it
But
could
you do need to
backfire
look
or
at
it
it.
could
I'm
backfire or it
just
could
concerned that if
explode.
it backfires, there's a lot more at stake than high school football.
I'm talking NFL
I was
football.
talking NFL, man, so
Yeah,
it's
we're
about
talking
the same.
NFL, so not high school.
Be fair.
Settle
Come
down
on.
I'm
back there. All
just
right.
concerned. Let me rephrase
What
that.
about Lee
I'm going to
Zeldin?
tell you something
Lee
about
Zeldin is my
innovation.
favorite politician. My
Yeah.
favorite politician. Hands down. Number
Who?
one. He's
Lee
boring
Zeldin.
too.
He's
Lee
Who?
what?
Zeldin is the man. I love Lee Zeldin.
So you want him as the EPA administrator?
I wanted him as governor. I want him as freaking VP, but I'll
Okay.
take EPA, sure. I don't understand what his experience with EPA is, so I was a little confused about that
Well,
position.
look at the guy who's in charge of Department of Transportation,
Buttigieg. Buttigieg?
Booty
Buttigieg?
Juice.
Buttigieg.
didn't
Actually,
Trump
so
He
let
was
me
didn't
so
right
so
for the
let
didn't
me
didn't
let me
job.
didn't
defend that
Trump
guy,
didn't Trump
okay? Because I
say
don't
Booty
I don't
Juice
I don't
once?
like that guy either, but that's a guy that okay, Zach, that is here. You're supporting Trippi here. That's a guy that we don't see on the same spectrum as politically and who had no experience, who actually was one of the few advocates during Hurricane Helene to actually get FEMA aid down there from the federal government
No, no,
when he got.
I'm not
So
saying.
I'm so Trippi, this conservative guy defending your
I
pick
know.
of inexperience because of that one little thing that he was able to say, okay, I better shut up, listen, and do what these guys do what the private guys say. And he was instrumental in that. Okay. So
Yeah, but
some
didn't he also
catastrophe in
faux
that
pas
and some success in that.
didn't he faux pas the Ohio train wreck?
Yeah, that was bad.
Bad.
But I don't think that was, I think that was a step above just to say, I don't
Yeah,
think that was all his decision. I think that was higher up saying, let's sweep that under the rug.
right. Just like the
We
bridge
don't want to
that
mess with the
just like
rail
the bridge
company.
that got hit by the boat, like suddenly that
I think
disappeared.
that's a lobbyist rail company tie connection somewhere higher than him.
We thought so too.
Yeah, yeah,
We
Hmm.
thought so
for
too.
I
sure.
really do.
What about Mike
I'm not a massive
Walls?
fan of him, by the way. I'm not a fan of Mayor Pete, but I'm just saying there were a couple instances where that inexperience led to the open-mindedness to make rational decisions.
I get it. No, no, and I'm not arguing it, but like my point
And I
was
don't even like him. I'm just saying that.
he had I don't know that he had any. I don't know what his background was to be
Wasn't he like the mayor of a town in
yeah.
Yeah,
Indiana?
he was the mayor. Yeah,
But they picked him because he was gay or something.
not
Well, I
necessarily.
mean, but that was like, like a
Yes, necessarily because you're anyway. We'll go to that right now.
I
What
mean,
about speaking of
there's a
you?
million other gay guys who are probably better qualified,
Speaking of
right?
well, that's
underqualified,
what somebody the other day, I was reading a blog, the Village's blog, and somebody said Mike
Would
Hegsworth is
read
going
that.
to vet the entire military of its wokeness. And I'm like, well,
Pete
one,
Hegseth?
huh?
Pete Hegseth is going to do that, they said?
That's what somebody in the Villages said on Facebook. And I'm like, I'm just pointing out that one of the most effective militaries in the world is Israel's, and they have an openly gay policy. So
I don't
for
have a problem with
recruitment,
look. I don't have a problem with a sailor or a marine or army anybody being gay. That's their own thing. It's when they start like dressing like drag queens in
well,
uniform.
that's
It's
not
like
allowed.
settle
That's
down.
not even under the Biden administration.
You should watch some of the videos.
Well,
And they're doing, and they're doing it like they're on an aircraft carrier. So it's not like it's just some made up little thing. They're on an aircraft carrier out on the deck doing
I think the
some,
problem is that we draw so much attention to it, good and bad, that it's
right.
like it
Yes.
almost becomes like this thing where we have to elevate this trait of this human
And
being
really,
above.
it is so
Like
minuscule
how
that
about how
it's
about that's just one of a million things that make you up. So go ahead and do whatever. That's fine, but that's
I'm
not
with
anyone
you.
else's responsibility. You've got a mission here in your branch of military, and you need to perform and fill it out regardless of where you stick your thing.
I
right.
agree. And that's why I just mentioned one of the
And I
most
think that's what
effective.
most people are like, honestly, beyond the hype, the media.
Even Zach is like that. But
Well, I know Zach likes it, but I mean, just saying, like, I think that's what.
Whoa. Whoa. Like,
I'm just saying, I
I
think
mean,
that's
a drag show every now and again. Come on. Whatever.
right before you got on here, Trippy, you should have seen it's awful.
oh no, I don't want that videoed.
No, definitely not. We didn't record yet. Um,
I was not wearing the princess gown. My
I
granddaughter
just,
was.
I hate it when there's any stories in the news and government and mixing that trade at all because it has nothing to do with anything.
Well, we've
Very,
seen it for 4 years
very
that's
little.
one of the things the Biden administration promulgated. It's all this homosexuality across the board. And I pointed out to Zach, I said, really, truly, in libraries, especially in local schools, Republicans are 10 to 1 in local leadership across the country. So when you're saying there's a library promoting a drag show, it might be a Republican administrator just turning a blind eye to it. Because across the board, we have always lost local seats in big numbers during special elections, especially midterms generally, and the only time really Democrats show up to vote is during major elections, presidential elections. And that's why we don't have as many local seats. So when I hear about schools having litter boxes in their kids' bathrooms because some kids identify as cats, I say, one,
They do.
is the story true? Because there's been no real evidence of it other than Zach says it's real.
I
But
saw it
I've
on the
never seen the
internet.
evidence
I,
of
I
it. And then I
actually,
asked the question, is it a Republican local leader just turning a blind eye to it? Because when it comes to local leadership, I really feel like the number is 10 to 1. It's 10 Republicans to one
what does
local leader.
Republican local leadership have to do with a school putting a litter
The
box? Though? I
school
mean,
boards are mostly Republican across the country,
Yeah,
other
but
than
if teachers are
California.
doing it, they're not flying it by the
but the
school
Department of
board.
Education is mandating certain ideology, which I
Not like that. Not on the local level. They are not sending out memos to allow litter boxes in the boys'
so I
bathrooms.
do have a friend back home in Michigan with kids who are privately schooled that I grew up with and was actually baptized with. So I've known him for 39 years. That's my entire life, literally, uh,
Literally.
cradle to grave, literally. And he did mention the reason why he did not send them to a specific well-known public school was because they had litter boxes in the bathrooms.
Well,
And I know the school, like I lived probably 6 miles from it, and I was shocked. It was
I'm
a
gonna tell you.
relatively conservative area too.
I'm gonna tell you a story. We
oh,
came home.
thank you. That you just
No, I'm
made
just
my
saying.
point.
But where I come from is changing though too. So like it was
But
uber conservative. Now it's now
So,
it's
but
now
Trippy,
it now it's
most
like Orange County of Florida. It's like the only county is like one of the few blue counties in Michigan. So it's just I don't know.
but most schools, regardless of the town they're in, being conservative or not, schools are run by the left.
Yeah,
Oh
The
no,
liberals,
because
the
it's a
I
liberals
know
tenured
run the
that. I
position.
school.
know the teacher union is the most powerful union in the country, and they have a lot to say. But
It's
there's been a lot
huge,
of,
huge,
huh?
bigly. It's bigly,
It's bigly.
Huge.
They have
huge.
a lot to say, but I've always heard for 4 years now the reason this problem exists is because of Biden. It's only going to get worse if Kamala gets elected. She didn't get elected,
Thank
and it
you,
was good
God.
and it was good messaging by you guys to scare people. But do we really believe the first
Scare
executive order
people.
Kamala would have said was allow every library in the country to have a drag show?
No, I don't believe that
She
at
had
all.
it on her desk. I
I would have
saw
believed
it.
the first executive order would have been nothing at all, period, for 4 more years of crap. That's what I'm scared of. I can't go another day. I can't eat up.
Well,
Speaking of,
you
where is
know,
That's what I'm
she?
not scared of her doing any. At this point, I was actually excited about Biden getting in and doing nothing. But Biden got in, got a few shots and Percocets and drugs to the head and one of one of those Satan with the hood over behind his shoulder, like the emperor, whoever the emperor is in Star Wars, guiding, and he signed that pen all over the place. This guy doesn't even believe any of this stuff. He's just a career politician, and I was horrified. I was like, you weren't supposed to do a thing. And so now it horrifies me about another 4 years of that is not doing another thing about that when he should have just not done that in the first place.
so like
I don't think he can make it any worse.
Yes,
I
take the
tried pointing
evil.
out the messaging from the Trump administration on COVID was it's just going to go
Oh,
away.
here we go back to COVID.
No, we're not. I'm just
You can
saying,
go
hang
back to
on. That was
COVID.
quick, brief. It's just going to go away. It didn't go away.
It was
So,
a
like you
flu.
said,
It
when
was
Biden came
nothing.
in, he initiated across the board, made vaccinations readily available, and things started moving in the right
Trump
direction
was the
again.
one who found the vaccinations. Come
He
on.
did.
Yep.
But here's the thing. It's kind of an irony that he is the one that found he
But
is the one that
he
ordered the
did
War
not force
Powers Act to
anyone to get
develop the
it.
vaccination. But and I'm going to point out something about that as well. He's the one that ordered the War Powers Act, initiated the War Powers Act, however, to expedite and develop a vaccination. Some people say it's not a vaccination; it's a different type of science. I don't know what it is. All I know is that vaccination readily available got the country moving in the right direction again. Florida opened back up. Kudos to Ron DeSantis. That was a great decision he made. Um, and business thrived again. So to say Biden did nothing, I like the fact that things were moving along back. I mean, I was riding my bike in public parks and couldn't use the bathrooms because they were locked. Because
Right.
allegedly that was a breeding ground, a petri dish for COVID, a
And
public
that's how you
bathroom.
got on the list.
So
And then I
Totally.
walked down the wrong way on a Publix aisle.
So now here's another thing when people say Biden did nothing. I'm talking about energy for a moment. Biden came in gung ho, wide open, and running, came in hot. We're gonna do the Green Deal, the clean deal, and everybody equated it with the New Deal. It's gonna be Democrats hoodwinking the system again, taking over everything. Here's a simple fact. When Biden became president, the Green Deal was brushed aside because the first thing that happened was gas prices started skyrocketing the minute he became president. That's like a president's report card. That's something. We're the most auto intensive country in the nation, in the world. We're the most auto intensive co- country in the world. Gas prices high is just a sign the president is doing a crappy job. And
Right.
Biden then sent his Secretary of Energy to Houston and said, "You guys need to start drilling." And so under the Biden administration, there was more drilling permits issued than any other administration in history, and that's a fact. Then came along the Green Deal, which was just chiseled down from $5 trillion to $600 million. It was turned into the Inflation Reduction Act. That $600 million is now funding all sorts of research on things like carbon capture, fracking, and a lot of those projects are being covered 60% by tax breaks. So we're going to be energy independent because of that movement alone under Biden's decision to push that bill through the Senate and the House. So to say he didn't accomplish anything, I'm not saying he was the greatest president ever, but to
Thank
say
God.
he was this, we would have rather he did nothing. I like some of the things he did.
Of course you do. But whatever. I'll say I like what Trump did, and you say you were
I
you
do. I
were
love the
you
fact
were
he created the vaccine.
you were
I
broke.
do not like the fact that day
Well, here's the
one
problem with the
he took
vaccine.
away.
Well, hang on.
Here's the
I
What was
problem
it?
with the, what'd you say?
no, go ahead because I'm going on to something else. So
Oh, okay.
you could
So
stay
here's
on
the
this
problem with the
sidewalk.
vaccine. You guys tried to shove it down our throats.
Right. And I've
Yeah,
said that was a problem.
you
Yeah,
tried,
they tried, but
failed.
I am still a pure blood.
Coke free, baby. 4X
Right.
COVID survivor. No longer get sick with anything. Bullet freaking proof, despite I don't have the mercury in my veins like you.
I did get mine.
You, well, you had to get it because where you work,
Yeah, you
didn't
had to
you?
get it,
Right?
didn't you?
No,
Oh, you
No,
didn't?
no,
I thought you had to get it where because
It
of
wasn't.
work.
no. It was over. It fizzled out quickly. You could have avoided it long enough not to get it.
Oh, good.
And you're good at that. I know you like to get under the radar. You're like,
Because the I have a feeling that Ron DeSantis colluded with some companies because at the point that the legislation passed that companies couldn't mandate the vaccination, most of the state was at about 90% vaccinated. So he waited
because
patiently to
everybody in the
call
state of
that
Florida is
special
over
session.
85.
Huh?
I said because everybody over Florida who was vaccinated is over 85.
Right,
And that's the
but he
majority of the
waited
state.
patiently to call that special session of the Florida lawmakers to make it so you couldn't insist people had it. And at that point already a lot of people had it,
Well,
had the vaccination.
what about your hero Tampon Timmy who was out with his Gestapo shooting at people who were sitting out on their front porch with rubber bullets chasing them back in their house because they were fearful of COVID spreading. And the number one thing I think even Fauci said was get outside and get fresh air.
Well, they always talk about Pence signing into legislation or dispatching Obamacare, signing up Obamacare when the AIDS epidemic was getting carried away in his state.
Yeah.
He was putting out tents in parking lots, signing up people on Obamacare. So everybody's got
Where was
their
Pence?
skeletons in
Where
their
was he?
closet.
Ohio or Indiana?
Indiana,
Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. All
Pence
right.
was in.
So let's get back to the list. What do you guys know about Mike Walls?
I
Wasn't
don't.
he the RNC chair?
Mike
Waltz?
He's
Wasn't
a
he the RNC
retired
chair?
he was a retired Green Beret who's been leading critic of China.
Colonel in the United States Army, serving as
Yep.
U.S.
Yeah, but
Representative for Florida.
he's
I don't know what he did.
So what was he appointed to?
National Security Advisor.
So it was Tulsi Gabbard appointed
No,
to.
Tulsi Gabbard's going for
intelligence.
Director of National
Intelligence.
Intelligence.
I think
Not
A job I
I
would
thought
follow.
Waltz took the place of Donna or Ronna McDaniel as the RNC head chair.
Maybe.
I thought he co-chaired it with Laura Trump. I don't know. I could be wrong. That or he was running. That or he was the running the Trump
Is
campaign.
Laura Trump Jr.'s wife?
No, Eric's.
Eric's
Eric's
wife. I
wife.
knew it was one of the boys'
Eric's
wives.
wife.
Okay.
Junior swaps him out every 3 years.
I don't think Junior's married right now, is he?
He's got something on his
Was
arm.
that his daughter who spoke at the
Kai,
yeah.
that's Junior's daughter.
She's like a pro golfer.
Yeah,
She's very impressive.
it's cool.
I mean, look at her grandfather. I mean, supposedly that's the running joke is
They're
she likes to
setting
go out
Laura
there and beat
Trump
him.
up for state government positions.
Oh Lord. What
Who's
state?
and who's silly Susie Wiles?
She's the chief of staff. Yeah,
Right, yeah.
she's the lady. I don't know if he's like. She's right there when he's all in the situation room and they're writing all the tweets and stuff. She's like the courtroom note taker. She doesn't say anything. She won't talk, but she kind of like coordinates the whole show.
Well, maybe she can handle chief of staff.
She can handle chief of staff.
And everybody says he's a misogynist and a sexist, but here he is hiring a female to run the staff.
That's really funny because if you ever go to any Trump's hotels, like everyone working there is like a female minority and they all get paid good and they're all really happy, pleasant, and like loving it. It's hilarious. Like in the middle of
His wife
Chicago.
ran.
In the middle of Chicago, it's like all like Hispanic and black females
Really?
in very high position. Oh yeah, and they're fantastic, phenomenal, amazing,
He did that with
happy.
that famous singer whose family got killed, and he put her up and her family that survived in his place and let her live there for free.
Don't know.
Jennifer Hudson, I think.
Oh, okay. Could be.
Yeah. Now the Borders are Tom Homan. I love him.
Yes. Trippy has to hate this guy.
No, I mean,
This guy is such like this is
He
gonna be.
says what everybody's thinking.
Did you see what interview was that? He was on some liberal news channel and they're like, "How are
How
you
can
going
you
to
how
deal with this deportation and separating families? How are you going to do that?" And he goes, "Oh,
send them all
uh,
back?
uh, families can be deported together."
Yeah. I mean, I love the point he made. He made a very good point. When he was a New York City detective, he said, if I'm pulled over for DUI and my child is with me, I get arrested and we get separated. My kid goes till they find someone who can come pick him up. Same
Yep.
thing. If you're breaking the law, you're
well,
breaking
here
the
was the thing
law.
about that separation thing. It was so vast and so wild that still till today, some of those children have not been reunited with their parents.
But your
So
boy O'Bizzle was the one who had the cages.
the
I think the
cages
point.
were okay. So there was numerous conservative Ann Coulter and Kellyanne Conaway said,
Hmm.
if you want to have a good immigration policy, follow Obama's lead. He was tough on the border and he was tough on deportations, especially when it came to violent criminals. So to say Donald Trump is initiating something we've never seen before, first of all, there will not be 11 million deportations. That would cost estimated $300 billion. The whole
That's
Justice
cheaper than
Department.
keeping people here. Are you kidding? Why do people even make that point? You know how expensive it is to freaking house these people in sanctuary
But the
cities?
point is, it just won't
Did you see
happen.
what New
It's
York
cheaper
mayor
than
did?
keeping them here by
Did you see
far.
what the New York mayor did?
No.
He cut
I
off the
thought he cut
cash.
all their. What do you do?
Yeah, he said that's it. No more visas for anybody.
Because they're broke. It's not even his
No,
decision.
that
Yeah.
was a no bid contract. The company was awarded a $50 million contract, and they distributed $2 million in debit cards. So there was a real issue with the contract, and there was actually some
It's New
post that
York.
said
Everybody, everybody's on the take.
right, but the point was somebody was chalking that up to Trump was elected, and New York cut off that Visa card program, and that's not why it got cut off. The integrity of the whole program was questioned. It was a no bid contract for
I think the
52.
argument of the cost of deportation is the same as the one about building the wall, and it's. I think the cost is much greater, both now and over time, keeping everyone here. So,
The only thing is what they're saying is that
number
that
one,
300 billion is
big
just not
deal.
available.
Well, it's going to be
It's
available,
gonna be.
and
Well,
the big deal, the
we're
big
getting to how it's gonna be available here in a minute.
the terrible thing about all this is that we talk about the separation of families, and then we say, well, let's just let it keep going. That's how all the trafficking happens. Like these people coming in the country, like the vast majority of the legal people coming in the country aren't even families anymore.
Did you see
They're
that?
military age guys from a million different places in the world. They're cartel drug mules. Their kids being sex trafficked. That's the crime. And then number two, the crime. Well, how can we convict someone who's just being here and because when you come here illegally, the first action you take when you cross that line in this country is committing a crime of
Right,
illegally entering. That is a crime. You're
100%.
already a criminal and you're not a citizen. You have no rights. You go back. Even if it's asylum, you don't stay here. That's it.
Facts.
It's the
True.
nicest way of cruel to be kind because if you don't do that, you cause problems that are
Preach,
way worse.
preach,
Way
preach.
worse.
Well,
And that's
here's what
trafficking
I'll
and
You
that's
say.
got me going to
drugs.
black church right now,
It's
Derek.
abusive. It's abusive to let it keep going.
Well, it is, but the drug mules. There's our president is a graduate of Wharton's Business College, and the drug mules applies to the rule of supply and demand. If we weren't buying those drugs in the numbers we're buying them, the drug mules wouldn't be coming over here with the supplies they're bringing. We need to address that because the fact of
True.
the matter is our drug use is decimating Mexico's ability to function as a country because we're their number one customer.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
we're promoting the ability of these gangs to thrive and send these drug mules over. So I'm not saying we don't want them here, and I'm not saying we don't need to secure the border, but I am saying again, as I've said before, there was legislation, tough legislation to close the border, and it was Donald Trump and Matt Gaetz and the Crazy Eight, um, who's the one that just got reelected from Georgia, um,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, that sabotaged that bill from hitting President Biden's
Maybe we
desk.
should read that whole bill first to see what else is
It's going to be
attached
the
to it.
same bill that hits Trump's desk. They're not going to rewrite it.
He
It's
doesn't
pretty
need a
rock
bill to get it
solid.
started. He just has to executive order out the same one that was canceled. Then he can
No,
at least
according to
eliminate
Biden, and I don't know if
asylum.
it's right or not, but the executive order wasn't legal. He needed that bill to hit some president's desk, whether it's Trump or Biden. That bill that's there, ready to go, and even easier to pass now again in the Senate, and will probably pass again in the House. He's just going to sign that into law and call that a victory, which is fine. It will be his victory because he's going to be the one that signs it. But there's no reason to believe it couldn't have been signed 2 years earlier.
Okay.
That bill still has an acceptable cap of limit of people to let in every day. So it still doesn't really solve the problem. And I do think he's going to have a hard time signing anything that continues to send more money overseas at this
Well,
point,
that's done.
especially if he's committed to ending the war in Ukraine before he gets in office. Why is he going to send a bill that sends money there? He's not. So I'm not so sure about that, okay? Because by the time his pen gets in action, if he's legitimate in what he says he's going to do even before he hits the Oval Office, then why is he going to sign that? Because half of that crap's going to go overseas, and he's already making commitments to tell Putin basically, I'll cut your money off, bro. You're not going to be able to keep doing this. So
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
so
And
I don't
Putin
think
already
so
any
what
wants
does
to sit
that
down
American
with him.
does
politician.
that just mean 300 more Bentleys for Zelensky or what?
Well, I was going to say I don't think
No.
any American politician has any appetite for sending more money to Ukraine. And I don't think that would have stopped. I think that would have stopped whoever was the next president because we did send a lot,
I don't
but
know
I don't
about
see the
that.
war ending. I will predict that. I think Europe's
It'll
going to
end.
pick up the slack.
It'll end.
Let's take some side bets on this one.
Everything that happened in the world was preventable by allowing funding of all these wars at some point, right? Like, hey, try me and give me the funds. Okay, no one's gonna try me. Can I get the funds? Can I get the weapons? Sure, Iran, you can have the weapons. Take it from the base. Sure, everyone can buy oil from you, Russia. Go for it, Nord Stream. Sounds good. Sure, China, you can team up with both of them. Sure, you can bring make anything and send it anywhere in the world. Here's all the money in the world. Okay, great. We can fund all the wars we want. We can put up Hamas and Qatar and do whatever the hell we want. Sounds good. And then we can try to run a propaganda message like, oh my God, Israel is creating this genocide. And no, like it's all preventable and it's all money. It's money. And I think we went over that with Daniel, and he's like, no, it's a religious thing. And okay, cool. But at the end of the day, if every here, no, regardless of what you believe is right, wrong, or my BS, if Russia, China, and Iran were broke, you would not have any of these wars, and probably no wars in the world. Because North Korea is just an extension of China. North Korea is just the Kim family gets money from all their indentured servants that live in North China and send the business money back. That's all that is.
And now
So
North
if
Korea is
China didn't have
supposedly
money,
helping
if
Russia.
Iran didn't have money, and Russia didn't have money, you wouldn't have a conflict. What conflict would you have? Tell me what conflict you would have if they were broke.
Well,
There
in
was no
theory,
conflicts when
China's
Trump
been a
was in
country
office
at
last
peace for
time.
the last 50 years. That's why they're so far ahead of us
What's that?
economically. China's been a country at peace for the last 50 years. That's
Well,
why they're
military wise, but they're also building a huge military and they're still at economic war with us. We shouldn't
right,
be buying
but
stuff there.
we're borrowing. So to say we're going to address the China thing, we're borrowing trillions. We owe them trillions of dollars, and we
Oh
need to borrow
yeah,
trillions more.
that's the
So
main
then you've
concern.
got
We'll be their slaves, especially if we let them keep buying all our farmland. I mean, they're pretty close to that economic victory
they are pretty close to it, but okay, so let me ask this question. What is Trump going to do about it?
with China specifically.
Let's just start with China.
China's hard, man. China's probably my least confident in whatever we do. If it was me, honestly, I'm pretty much an advocate for whatever we have resources to build and do on our own, regardless of the cost we do it, just because it drives the wages up probably at a higher ratio in a pretty quick period. So let's say your Nikes cost $5 a pair to make and they sell for 200 because this it's slave labor instead of being 20% of the cost. So if you make them here and now all of a sudden the cost is 20%, that's an extra $5, whatever it may be. Your cost is $10 for those Nikes. It's now $205. You're still going to buy them and you're going to employ people here making 25 bucks an hour who are going to buy those Nikes. So make them here. And then get rid of the child labor over there, get rid of the freaking slave camps and all the terrible things that happen there that we never talk about that are horribly oppressive and freaking violent and disgusting. And it's an awful place. China's an awful place, okay? It's great people, but it's an awful government, okay?
It's good
So
food. Good food.
absolutely,
No
absolutely.
Chinese.
But I honestly, for me, it's more that's a longer term thing. Like I don't know why we became so dependent on China financially. It is because of cost. Cheap, cheap, cheap,
Who
cheap, cheap.
who was the governor?
And which, by the way, Trippy, in your defense, probably was a lot very privately driven once we, took away any type of um, disincentives to do business there, or lowered tariffs or whatever it may be. That kind of sparked that explosion in the 90s. But it's probably privately driven, and I think it was a horrible long-term decision.
All
Well, it
right.
was privately driven, but there was a good reason for it. I'll tell you, I always say economically. I always equate economically to there's a thing 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. When it comes to economics, I like to say it's 6 degrees to Warren Buffett. Do you know what Warren Buffett's worst investment ever was?
No.
Was Dexter Shoes. He paid $8 billion worth of A shares to buy Dexter shoes, all to find out China was going to produce those shoes for one-fifth the price. And Dexter shoes was valueless within about 6 years of him purchasing that company. They were actually very popular shoes until China decimated that company's ability to function. So China became the cheap capital, the cheap labor capital of the world, and the world embraced it. Other
How
thing
does
with
that bring
China,
the how does that bring a cost of goods to 1/5 though? Because
the
manufacturing,
labor, the labor,
no, no, listen to me.
and the regulation.
Dude, most manufacturing cost of goods labor in a US made product is 22%. So you're telling, well, okay, that makes sense. There you go. So you're saying take that 20, you're saying 5 times though. That would take out 1/5.
It's
If
China's
that
labor costs
20%
have
went to
gone up.
2%, then it would take out 20% of the cost, which in any type of retail thing is not a great percentage of the retail price. So if it was $5 to make here, it would be $4 to make in China.
No, it's significantly less than that.
Well,
I
how
can't.
is the materials not cheaper in China?
There's regulation factors. They're dumping
Okay,
whatever.
I believe that.
They're okay. Say a warehouse has a an an
You're talking about subsidy now. Okay, that makes sense. Yes,
right. So
subsidy.
they've become the cheap cost, the cheap product cost of the world.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they've and then we're borrowing their money because we all we've done for the last 50 years engage in war after war. I agree with you guys.
yep,
But every time I say we need to back out of the war business, and Jimmy Carter was one of the
China.
presidents that never fired a shot. Donald Trump actually world war conflict did go down to a bare minimum on his watch, but there was other reasons for that. But no matter what, the best policy we would ever have is to get out of the business of war. And then we could start really turning our budget around. When people talk about we're
But
sending
you
Zelensky
also
$60
have to
billion dollars.
understand World War II, or was it World War II pulled us out of the Great Depression, and war is a major money maker.
For America. But first of all, we don't need
America.
it anymore. We're it's costing us more than it's producing in labor
Sure.
now.
No, yeah, because we're fighting a never and
We're
winning. I
fighting
mean,
wars everywhere. I
listen,
was just
listen.
gonna
right.
If
make a point,
you
and
to
I
me,
lost
We've
it.
I
become the
think
late Roman Empire where
I think
you
I
can't
But
think
even.
there was so much Let me make this one point, and then I'll quiet down. There was so much talk about when Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, and the pullout was a just a abysmal pullout. But the fact of the matter is, he pulled out. After 20 years of getting nowhere, he called bullshit on a bullshit war. And at least that was the
was it
right thing to
actually
do.
him?
But why wouldn't you evacuate from the airbase?
I don't have that. I
How
generally
stupid.
presidents order pullouts. They don't order the how to pull out. Generally, it's the
The
general.
how-to was in place.
And he said, "Don't do it that way." He said, "Do it my way."
Yes.
That would. I don't have that
The
answer. All I
pullout
know
was
is that
perfect.
after
The
20
plan was
years of our
there.
guys getting blown up, we put an end to it.
Stupid. Yeah, I know, but just pull out of the base and keep the base. You have to keep the base. You have to keep
Yes,
the base.
had to, should
Well,
have.
I feel like his experience with that was
Unless you take all the equipment back.
When Obama wanted to pull out, they told him you got to add 30,000 troops in order to pull out. He added the 30,000 troops, and they were just there the whole entire 8 years of Obama's watch. So he said, "I'm just going to do it this way. I'm just pulling out." take the base. We've argued the point of how much military hardware was left behind them. The Pentagon estimate was eight. How much was it?
It
$8 billion.
was billions.
Somehow it went from 80 to 8, so I don't know
The
how.
Pentagon said it was eight. I think Donald Trump said it was 80, but it was eight. If the Pentagon said it was eight, maybe it was 12. But we're done. And Lindsey Graham pounced his hands on the Senate floor desk of his, said, "We're going back." And we
I
still
hate
haven't
that
been
guy.
back. And all he
He's
was saying
going
was
up
to
there.
his military contractors, "I'll get you the business back." He was just saying it in a different way. We're
Right.
going back,
Right.
Yeah.
but we're not going back. So I give credit that at least one war we're out of. And, if you're going to say we're a populist, we need to go to a populist movement, let's cut off Israel. If I were president, I would say you've got 90 days to start implementing to the full extent the Camp David Peace Accord, which clearly states the Palestinian state is to be in the West Bank. And you need to start implementing that in the first 90 days of my presidency, or I am going to cut off all aid to your country.
Hmm.
Because if everybody wants to talk to me about sending Zelensky $60 billion, we've sent Israel, and granted, for the most part, they pay it back, but we've sent them trillions of dollars over the years. And to say, oh, it's wrong for college students to protest the genocide that's happening in Gaza. Gaza is a 6 mile by 26 mile strip of land. It's one of the most densely populated areas in the world. 2.6 million Palestinians live in this narrow strip of land. And Israel to date has dropped about 700 2,000-pound bombs on the Gaza Strip. And 2,000-pound bombs not only decimate everything that's around, they also destroy the infrastructure for years to come. So if we're going to talk about getting out of the business of war, that's another ally we need to renegotiate our terms of agreement with, and
Well,
that is
first off,
Israel.
they didn't start it
They
this
didn't, but you know
this
what?
time. This time. So
Well, they didn't, but let me tell you a
throw
little
the rules
something.
out the window.
Hey,
Secondly,
I
4,600 Katyusha rockets, old school Katyusha rockets, and their rocket launchers motored across 1,600 kilometers of terrain from Iran to the Gaza Strip. A Toys R Us drone could have caught that. And the greatest defense in the world, the greatest secret service in the world, the greatest intelligence in the world is the word I'm searching for, didn't know those rockets were coming over. No, they let them slip past the goalie so they could have their heyday on Gaza and then have their heyday in Iran, and then have their heyday on
I mean,
Hezbollah in
is this
Lebanon.
factual or is this Trippy's reality?
4,600 Katyusha rockets and
Is it
their rocket
factual?
launchers came from
Factual.
Iran,
Factual.
1,600
Did you count them?
kilometers.
But you know what? I just looked out my window and guess what I can't see?
I know that, but
Gaza,
you
so I
can
don't
see the
care.
trillions of dollars heading over there because
Yeah,
that's
it's
driving up
terrible.
our
Let's make
deficit.
it a parking lot and build a Bucky's.
It would be a big Bucky's.
well, that's a good way to put it. Um,
So, all right,
and
let's
I don't think anyone's saying it's. I don't care if people protest
they did it for
Gaza
Vietnam.
genocide. No, I don't care.
They did
No,
it
I
for
don't
every
care.
war.
What pisses me off is when people decide that their protest has the right to disrupt civilian life. Remember that bridge in San Francisco where the kids glued their hands to the steering wheel and there was that 6 mile backup for 4 hours?
Yeah.
There were ambulances who did not get to dying people over that.
Yeah.
Okay, so at that point, you get your ass
I
in jail.
agree.
You
Yeah.
you just you little pricktard, ignoramus,
Pricktard. That's a new one. I like
self-entitled
it.
child.
Yeah.
No, that's not a
Who
protest.
who
A protest may be done in a peaceful, public way, public place that's non-obtrusive or obstructive to civilian emergency services and everyday life, to traffic, people getting to work, the economy running, the city running, people getting ambulances, firemen doing their job, safety, um, public safety officers getting to do their job. You don't do that. That's
right.
it.
Right.
I don't care what you want to say you love, like, or what. But if you do that, I'll throw you right over the bridge.
Well,
And
I'd go so
I
far as
bet you
Better
saying
you than whoever you're killing.
the majority of those people who were protesting or doing that couldn't even point out where Palestine is on the
That's the
map.
problem
no.
too. That's the problem too. Like I wouldn't consider myself an expert on any topic we talked about tonight enough to sit up with a protest sign.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure I probably not being an expert and knowing maybe 1 out of 100% is probably more than their 1/100th of a percent.
But the great thing is our protest is your option to watch, and we're not obstructing an ambulance from getting to an old person needing help. and
Right.
that's the way it should
Right.
be.
We're
Right.
protesting online. I'm not
No,
protesting. I'm
and you
What are
have
celebrating.
the
you
option to watch or
I'm
not
celebrating.
watch.
what are you protesting? Wearing you're not wearing pants right now, are you?
Who?
You.
No, I have
I
pants
got
on.
pants on. I'm wearing shorts. All right, let's go
The
to the next
emperor
one.
has no
Who is
pants.
that's well, it's good to be the king. Who is I don't even know if I'm gonna say her name right. Elise
Stefanik, she's a
Stefanik.
congresswoman.
Okay.
She was actually either a presidential during the primary or a VP
Consideration,
murmuring
right?
at for some point.
Is
What
she
was
a good
she?
choice for the UN ambassador?
U.S.
Yeah,
rep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now, of course, here's my favorite one.
New York.
The Department of Government Efficiency.
Who's that going to be?
Doge.
Elon and
Elon
Vivek.
and Vivek.
Oh,
Doge.
So he's committed by the
You kind of
250th.
saw how they did that Doge, right?
Yes.
And did you see Dogecoin like blew up?
Dude, midnight of the election, my like AI trading bot for crypto
Right.
is like blew through the roof. It was so funny. Like in all the stock futures and stuff just went I mean, it was just
Well, speaking of, I
it's the
need to sit
private
down.
sector's way of saying, okay, we are for deregulation of anything that can
We
be.
need to
Or
sit down. I need to learn about that bot.
uh, I'll hook you up with Patrick.
Okay. And
so
then
do you have
He's
Dogecoin?
in he's
I do
immune.
have Dogecoins.
You do.
I think I
So
got
can you explain to me what it is?
it's a
It's
crypto
just a
coin.
it's just a
It's a
cryptocurrency.
cryptocurrency.
Oh,
I sold mine, dude. It wasn't doing enough for me. I should I always sell things like a month before there's like a public like any type of market driven event that artificially drives something up and it just drives me
My
crazy.
my crypto's doing better than my stock, and I have
Right
stock in
now,
Tesla
it's
and a couple other things.
well, here's the thing, because I didn't. Elon Musk apparently went into a McDonald's the other day and ordered like a normal person a Big Mac and all that or whatever, and said, "Can I pay with Dogecoin?" And everybody was kind of chuckling, and I'm like, "Well, what is Dogecoin?" But now I know it's just
It's like
crypto.
Bitcoin. It's like
so
But that's his choice.
you
yeah,
sort of
he's
technically
Doge is
could
his.
because you could hook your crypto wallet up to a
Your
virtual card
cash.
or like
Yeah.
Apple Pay. So you sort of could, but you would have to like withdraw it to like an Apple card.
Oh,
But
I
you can't
think
like so
does it
crypto trades and then you can sell it to cash and withdraw it to a bank or cards or whatever.
yeah, I do that on my
Um,
Coinbase.
yeah.
I'm a big
Coinbase is probably
dummy.
the most popular wallet.
I'm a big dummy. I sold my Bitcoin and then it skyrocketed, so
Yeah,
I know. Whatever. I made 600
you're
bucks.
not alone. I've held it when it was super high, like 5 years ago, and sold it, and as it crashed, and then didn't buy it before it spiked. Whatever.
Yeah. It's
But
huge. It's
it's
huge right now.
that's the volatility of that
All
stuff.
right.
So
How about Christy Nome?
the dog killer, Homeland Security.
I'm all for her. And I
I
heard the
hope
story
we
about
don't
the
have
dog.
any pit bulls trying to cross the
what did
border,
she do?
man.
Wasn't she like
She's a
firing
gov
an AR-15 or something?
No.
she was the governor. Was it North Dakota or South Dakota?
North
Probably
Dakota.
South. Or is that Doug Burgum?
Yeah, that's the billionaire.
Yeah, I know. Oh, she's South, and then Burgum is North.
Yeah, I think so. Or it's the other way around. One of the two. Whatever.
Nope, she's South.
50-50 shot. Okay.
Google told me.
Goo.
So that'll
I
be fine.
I
So I'm
like
not
her. Oh yeah,
protesting
you're
all his
right. She is the
nominations.
governor of South Dakota. She still is.
I'm not protesting all his nominations.
I
She's
don't know.
definitely and
I like her policy
she's
a lot. She's kind
she's
of like
definitely very easy on the eyes.
she's kind of creepy looking.
Oh, come on.
Um,
I gotta see this now. I never really did
What about
take a
John
look.
Ratcliffe for CIA?
That sounds a little extreme to me, but
no strong opinion. I don't know enough about John.
Scott Bessent for the
Former director of national intelligence. Okay.
yeah.
From
no, I would
20.
say
Who are you
Derek
talking about
Scott.
next?
Bessent,
I don't even know who that is.
potential Treasury Secretary.
The heck is that?
I don't know.
He's isn't he the trickle down guy?
Yeah.
I don't know him.
Did you ever watch that show with um oh why am I drawing a blank? Kiefer Sutherland?
24.
No, that was a great show though. No, when he was he was like the trickle down guy and the whole Congress and the president blew up and he became the president and he was
I
like the
saw that.
yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but it was a great show.
I didn't see the whole thing, but I
The
didn't
last
watch it.
season got a little crazy, but the rest of it was good. Um, all right, we're going to the next one. Here's potentials again. Robert Lightczar.
Don't know him.
Yeah, potential trade czar or treasury secretary. Howard Lutnick, potential
Don't know him.
treasury secretary. McCann. Linda McMahon. Is that Vince McMahon's wife?
No.
That would be
No.
hilarious.
Wait. No, it's not. No, it's
I don't
not.
know. It doesn't say anything about
No,
it is.
former
It's his
U.S.
wife.
admin. She's the
No,
former administrator of the SBA.
I'm reading it right here. Linda McMahon, potential commerce secretary. McMahon, a professional wrestling former. Yeah,
Wait.
that's Vince McMahon's wife.
Dude,
I knew it. How about Cash Patel,
she was something back in the day. What's he doing?
potential candidate for national security posts?
Cash Patel, dude. That dude is wicked wired.
Yeah,
He's a beast, man.
that's all they got right now. That he is.
He was part of Trump's administration last time.
Was he?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's an animal.
Yeah.
My
Do you
favorite,
smash?
I like Tulsi and Lee Zeldin, dude. Yeah, Vivek.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
See,
like
there he was.
JD.
He was an acting director of national intelligence, so he was not confirmed. If you're acting, you were not able to get him confirmed.
But you're still in the
You're
position.
still in a
You're still in
position.
the position.
So what's the point of confirmation?
Uh, in some things, you
You get a
have to
little
be
smiley
confirmed.
sticker.
Huh?
I have I have been confirmed.
Does the priest come out and bless you?
No, this is going to be an
People
issue for
like me.
certain.
Oh, that's a
I'm a
different
people
confirmation.
person. What's wrong with you people?
So my point is, how much can he actually get done of all the things he's put out there?
Only
Trump?
time will tell, Tripperoo.
He'll get a lot
But
done.
at what point
All
will
right,
you be
here's what I
disappointed
want
in
you to
him?
do. I
Why are
need
you
you
asking that? The guy sleeps 4 hours a night. Even if he was a moron with no one, when you work 20 hours a day, you do get things done. He doesn't poop. He doesn't pee. He doesn't sleep.
he eats Big Macs and drinks Diet
He
Cokes.
doesn't. He
You
doesn't.
have this
Rogan,
image of him.
Rogan. So that day he was in Texas, he did a rally in Austin. Then he did with Rogan for over 3 hours. Rogan says he came in, sat down, did it for 3 hours, got up, got on a plane, went up to Traverse City, never peed, never ate, never drank, nothing. He didn't do anything but work. Okay. So I don't care if you're the most anti-Trump, think he's the
I'm not the
stupid.
most anti-Trump.
No, I know you're not, but like
A
No, I'm
couple
not.
even
weeks ago
even
you
if
were.
even if you feel this guy is the worst person in the entire world, when you work 20 hours a day, 365 days a year, you do get stuff done.
Yeah.
More more than pretty much anyone, especially a guy currently who gets up at 9 a.m. and goes to bed at 7 p.m. and takes 3 naps, and
By the
he's just
way,
he's
who
got dementia,
who is the
he's being
president right
abused.
now, by the way?
Joseph
Um,
Biden.
I think it is a little
That's a
combo of
name.
the I think it's the Obamas in the Jills. I think it's the Jills and the Michaels.
I don't.
I hear that the Obamas are not happy.
With what? They don't they had a lose-lose. They have no win here. They wouldn't have been happy with her.
Well, you know, it's funny they didn't jump on the Kamala bandwagon right off the bat.
Obviously not.
No, they weren't.
But neither did George Bush ever.
Why would George Bush jump on the
He
Kamala?
George
hates Trump,
who?
I thought.
George who?
Bush.
He still doesn't like Trump.
Ah.
I don't know why he never endorsed
But
Kamala.
but didn't Hillary endorse her pretty quickly?
No, took time.
Did it?
Took time, and then she
Took
was there.
time.
Well, we
This
The
the one
problem with
good
it,
thing
well,
Kamala did was didn't speak out against the Clintons because we all would have known that would have been a
the
suicide.
problem with Joe Biden was
is
he
that what
felt
happened to her?
like,
Maybe.
She's gone.
I haven't
well,
seen
here's
her.
what happened with Joe Biden. He felt like the midterms were a statement, was sort of like a statement in support of him, and they really weren't. So, and he was the one that said he's going to make the way for the next generation. If he would have not ran for re-election and Kamala came right out to shoot as a candidate, she wouldn't have been able to avoid. She thought she was playing it smart, and I did too, actually. I'm not going to say I didn't. Generally, the rule is it's great to be a candidate for as little bit of time as possible. But she avoided all sorts of questioning and all sorts of what are you going to do as president? And that really hurt her. And she was only a candidate for about 90 days. I don't think that this giant victory of Donald Trump was as big as people perceive it. I think nobody had any clue what was going to happen. At least we know what Trump's going to be like. We had
Yep.
no indication whatsoever coming out of Kamala camp of what she was going to really do. I always said the one thing I
Finally, he
liked that
says
she
it.
did say was she was going to cap out a person's prescription cost at $2,000 a year because I have an eye drop that I need that's going to be $700 a month. So I like the idea of $2,000 a year and you're done paying for
Yeah,
medicine.
but didn't
That was
Trump
the
say the same thing?
no.
Are you sure?
I'm I never heard it. I heard it
He
from
was the one.
her.
He was the one who lowered the prices on insulin.
No, that was Biden.
No, it was before Biden. 100
I'm not
percent.
so. That was a part of the Medicare negotiating drug prices deal. That was Biden.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, they should have had an actual
I think
primary
King Trump. I
for
think
when
King Trump
Shapiro
did
or
it.
Newsom, and they probably would have won.
Newsom? No, they wouldn't have won. He's kind of. I think she's going to run again and
Well,
do it
here's my
differently.
thought.
She's no, dude. She's reached the climax.
I think that when they picked her VP, and I know you say a VP never wins the presidency. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. People are
I
like,
think all of that
"Who is
actually
this idiot?"
started. I think the VP things made a huge difference this time, to be honest with you. And I think it started with RFK. All of this started with RFK. So RFK was actually like what, 20%? I mean, the fact that he was still on these ballots in states, what a joke, right? Because those are Trump votes at that point. Anyway, he had what, 22% popularity for independent, which is like we're getting into like Ross Perot era here or more. And his pick, he picked, I forget her name, but he was interviewing everyone, all spectrums, super conservative, super progressive. And his pick was pretty super progressive. And that's when I told my wife, I'm like, that's good. That's good on a Republican side of things because when you look at all things considered, and you're like, I don't like Biden, I don't like Trump, let's go RFK. You look at his pick and you're like, oh crap, he's got a progressive person by his side. So by the time he dropped, right, supported Trump, and then she picked Waltz, and then Trump picked Vance. Everyone at first was like, well, crap, why did he pick Vance, right? Another white guy. He should have picked Tim Scott, the black guy, or Tulsi, or Nikki Haley, or something like that, right? Or whatever. And that's how I felt at first too. But then when JD got his press time and he got his Rogan interviews, and I mean he put in as much groundwork as Trump, and then you had Kamala. She should have picked Shapiro. My God. And
Yeah,
she picked Waltz. And that's when I knew that when everything's a lot closer, in my opinion, this time around than what we say blowout wise, right? Because it's the popular wise still is relatively close. And that's when I felt it was over. I was like, okay, good. This is working good for us because we're getting JD and Trump on well, no, for like mainstream news is not the main source of information anymore, dude. Rogan getting 60 million Trump views. That's more than any of I mean, all late night combined is like 7 million viewers total each night. Like total. Rogan's bigger. Rogan's bigger than all late night combined. Combined. And you have one side that's doing the interviews and one that isn't, with just a wacko weirdo VP. Like, I mean, God bless his soul. At least he's not a divisive jerk, but just totally out of his league. And that's when it was like, okay, good, this is over. Because people, at least, like you said, they're going to see Trump advance. They're going to see him be honest. They're going to see him. They're going to know what they're going to get. And these other two are just like
Well, they didn't know. They had
robots
no
in the
out.
wind. They have no.
No one
I
knew
will
what was
say
coming from that.
I watched Vance in interviews. I watched him in debates, and
He
he is
slayed every freaking word out of his mouth. Was an utter F you slay in perfect tactful non-political BS. No making up answers when he didn't know an answer. He said, I don't really know. When is the last time you had a politician say, I don't really know? You never do. You never have. None of them ever, ever. Name one. Name one time Kamala ever said, I don't really know the answer to that. It's not something I really follow that
no,
much, but
no. I'm from middle class. I came from middle class.
never name one. You can't name one. And I'm including Trump too. I'm including every politician. Name one you've ever heard say, I don't really know. I'll surround myself with people who do know that. And this is probably how we'll go about that. And Let's not dig me too deep on it because I'm going to sound stupid.
And I
You
will
never
say,
heard that except out of Vance. Vance, and he slayed it. Vance slayed every freaking interview, every conservative, progressive, every side he absolutely torched in a good way.
I will say when he was doing the
Burned it
debate,
down.
when he did the debate with Walls, when Walls would make a faux pas or a silly, just a dumb remark or whatever, his camera, when he would just like look at the camera and he'd be like, "What?" It was great. It
Well,
was
that's
so
great
good.
that he did well, but I do have to make one point because I understand I even agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'm not happy with the outcome, but I don't know that I would have been happy with the outcome if I don't know that I would have been happy with a Kamala president. But we'll say this though, and it's another. I'm going off what topic for a moment. We know he won in 2024. That's done. That's been acknowledged. We know he won in 2016, and there seems to be no issue in acknowledging that. Is there any acknowledgement yet that he clearly lost in 2020? Or is
Well, let
that
me
going to,
ask. I have a very good question to that, and I think you already know what I'm going to ask. Let's look at this. I'm just gonna get stats here because I can't find it. By the way, I'm trying to find Biden's actual vote count, and it's very hard to find. Very hard to find, and I wonder why. Because what was it like 81 million? Was it 81 million?
80,
well,
82, I
No,
thought.
Biden won by
80.
about 4 million
I don't
popular
care what he
vote.
won by.
I
I
don't
care.
know the exact
I
number.
care statistically in the last 100 years, watching every president year over year, how big the swings have ever been, and rarely is it over 5% term over term. Obama had the most excitement of any president in the modern era. Won what, 700 counties in 2012, 68 million votes, incredible, right? Trump comes in, a lot of excitement. What, 71 million votes in 2016, wins the election. Biden with dementia, bland, boring bullshit. No one cares about Joe. Obviously, they were voting against Trump, and that's pretty emotional to people. So I'll give you that. Knocks down 82 million votes with 400 and some counties, Jeff. And Kamala this time knocks down 73 million votes. What happened to 9 million voters? What
Well,
happened?
we just
No,
established
no,
that.
no. No, you had 15 million illegal voting age men come across this border who all had the incentive to bring their family into the country because Mr. Biden let them do that. Therefore, their vote was blue. What happened to 9 million voters? If you can tell me
What
that,
happened in 20, what changed in 2024 then?
what do you mean? She only had
How did he
73 million
win?
votes.
How did he clearly, decisively win?
What do you mean?
Well, there's no argument he won. When
Right.
he wins, there's no argument. When he loses, we engage in an
No, no,
argument.
no, no.
We literally hear him on the phone
He lost in
telling the,
2020. He lost
huh?
in 2020. But where did the 9 million votes come from?
Why I
I
can't
know
answer
because it's
that.
because they're
So
fake.
you're saying it's ballot stuffing or it's illegals or it's something he claimed it to be, right?
How the hell can you not? Just look at math. Forget your political
You
view.
if there was ballot
Forget your
stuffing,
political view. Look at math. It's impossible, statistically impossible, to have 9 million votes come and 9 million votes go. Look at just go back tonight and look at the last 100 years of all elections, all parties, and you find me anything in that 15%.
but it happened.
No,
I
it
don't
didn't.
believe it
Somebody was
did.
telling me the other day they believe Kamala won, but it was Elon Musk that had the code to the voting machines. I said there is no national
There's
code.
no code.
I
At
said there's
least
no
at
national
least he
code.
made it look believable. But at least if that's true, at least it looks believable.
But I can honestly say to this person, there's no national code. But when I say I can't answer you where 9 million votes are, you're going to say that I'm just an idiot for not
You're
agreeing
not an
with you.
idiot, but they're not real. They're not
It's
real.
he argued the same point, but yet his own argument was nullified when you hear him on the phone with the Georgia election commissioner saying, surely you can find me 11,000 votes. We're not discussing 9 million votes. We hear the president discussing
He should have
11,000
said
votes.
surely you can find that 11,000 of those votes are not correct.
That's what he said. That was a
No, no,
recorded
no. He said, "Can
conversation.
you find me 11,000?"
Oh, right. Well,
I'm saying he should
verbatim,
have
not
said, "Can you
verbatim.
find at
Can
least
you find me
11 that
11,000? So
are
here's the
dead?"
implication. Here's the implication that this person who told me Elon Musk has some national code. There's still 14 million uncounted votes. We don't know who won it. I explained to him there are unaccounted votes. They're mail in votes. A lot of states allow the mail in votes to be post dated. If they're dated before the election, they're counted even if they're received after the election. We know how many votes are out there uncounted, but we also know it won't change the outcome. So we
Right.
can call the election on November 6th and know that there's millions of uncounted votes. So I can convey
Probably
that
about 3
logic
million.
to that person,
Yeah.
but I can't convey to anybody that Donald Trump lost in 2020. It must be a scam. And I disagree. It's not. There was a
Well,
lot of dissension towards Donald Trump to the point where it could have been 9 million votes because of his lack of leadership on COVID. And not
come
because
on, dude.
he
Come
he would
on.
stand on a podium and make
Did
faces when
did
Fauci was talking, but what a grown adult does is say, "I can't fire Fauci. That's not
Hey,
my
hey,
it's not
Jeff,
my job
how
code."
much tax money out of your paycheck goes to fight by or Fauci's security?
Oh, I don't know, but what I'm saying is
A
that may be
lot.
where some of the dissension came from.
where is
F that
Fauci? What
guy.
happened to
F that
Fauci?
He
guy.
retired.
Where
And
is
he's
he?
in, not in hell yet.
He has not died yet. I'm interpreting that to be.
Well,
He
supposedly he's
retired, but
disappeared.
This is hilarious. Hey, Jeff, just try to Google if you can find what the vote count was in 2020. Like, look at 2024 results. There's a perfect chart. Votes, who's counted, what percentages, popular.
how did you ask the question? What is the vote count in
I asked
2020?
it about 7 different ways just now. 2020 election results, nothing. 2020 election results, popular vote counts between Biden and Trump. Nothing, 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 nothing.
But you want to
Nothing.
know what the person that told me Elon
Have
Musk
you
has the
ever looked at
code?
a bar chart year over year for the last 20 elections and watched the blue and red and how they kind of inch up and they switch, anywhere from 2 to 5%. And then you have this 2020 and it's like 15% more. And then
I
also
can almost
it's
answer
like,
that another way, though.
But
I
here's
can
but here's
almost
the
answer
here's
that
what
another
but
way.
here's the
Was
thing that baffles me. Okay.
oh my gosh, it must just be anomaly once ever. It must have been one of God's miracles.
no,
Who's
I'm going to answer it. Let me try
Satan?
another way
Satan.
to answer it.
Hold on, real quick though.
You
Here's what
can't tell me
baffles
that's
me.
real. Like it's that
If
every conspiracy theory we ever heard the last 10 years has turned out to be real a year later. These people are effed, bro. They're
if
screwed up.
listen, let me ask you this though. Obama was the most popular president, I believe, in our
No, Biden was. No, Biden
no,
was.
no, no, let me get to that. Hold on. But if Obama was the most popular president in our history that I know of, right?
Yeah.
How did Joe Biden, who was definitely not as popular as Obama, get 82 million votes and nobody else has gotten that number?
And then
It was a vote. It was
How did Kamala not get this time with 10 million extra illegal votes?
so both times, I've said it before, no one generally wins the election. Someone loses the election. Both times was a vote of dissension towards someone. There was a
Ah,
strong vote of dissension towards Trump in 2020.
I
It was
agree with that. Dude,
I
I
guess
agree with that big I agree with that big time. I agree with that big time, okay?
I guess we'll never know.
If I would have seen Biden, now Obama got 68 million in 2012, okay? If I and then I don't know how many Hillary got in 2016, probably around 70. Okay? If people hated Trump and Biden got anywhere from 72 to 75, I would have bought the crap out of it. Yep, absolutely. 81? No. And the reason I don't buy 81, I didn't buy it that time, and now it's not that I don't buy it. I don't buy any opinion that's otherwise on it because what I see this time with how many extra votes she had in there too. You can't tell me that's real. That's 9 million votes, dude. Dude,
I
that's
just
like
think it has to do with
15%. It's
Donald
not
Trump said it best.
15%.
Donald Trump once said,
15%.
listen, Donald Trump once
Not
said,
possible.
Write
if
Not
it
voting
down.
was
possible.
easier, if voting were easier, we would never win an election. He once said it. The mail-in votes were enormous in 2020 because they took off. Now both parties
Because
are
they were having
voting
dead
mail-in.
people vote. That's why they were mailing them in from the grave. My
Listen,
I just
father voted
can't.
Democrat. He's been a
80,
Republican all his life.
81 million, 81 million, not
So then I would
possible.
make this point. When George Bush won the election, when he beat Al Gore, literally he beat him by 561 votes. That was the difference in Florida. Florida made the
Right,
decision in that election.
right.
Al Gore argued the point once or twice, brought it to Supreme Court, lost his case in the court, and was done with the argument. Donald Trump has been making this argument. I mean, now, of course, he won't make the argument. What's the point anymore? He got his second term.
But
That's all
hey,
you
I
get.
think it would have been a lot more reasonable for us to believe, comprehend, if Donald Trump lost by 500, 1,000
I'm
votes.
understanding. Believe me, I'm
Nine,
understanding both your
nine,
points. I'm not
nine
arguing that it's
million.
easier to accept, but it's like it is what it is, if you ask me.
But it doesn't
I
matter
just,
because he's
huh?
president again.
But I'm just saying, why is there not a vast acknowledgement that he made a big baby of himself and he really did truly lose?
Oh, that's
He
how we
did,
do.
but Biden did not get 81 million votes.
But he did lose.
Yeah, probably, but not 81 million.
I mean, I don't know. I
I
never
Although
heard he.
think
honestly,
maybe it was a
although
lot closer and we
honestly,
don't know it. Maybe
didn't
that's why
didn't
they got
Trump still
scared.
get like 75 million votes or
What was
something?
the biggest voter turnout ever? Yeah, that was
So
161
so
million
so
votes.
75 million votes would have won this election, and this election had 10 million illegal votes in it that we know for sure. So how did he
No, I personally think this is what I think
no,
again.
9 million votes, dude.
Let me justify my logic one other way.
You can't because it's stats, it's not
2020 was
rational.
161 million votes.
One's
The
an idiot.
biggest election vote
The
turnout
other's a
ever.
How
genius.
many are actually registered? Let's see how many people are actually registered voters because
I
this
don't know
time
if you'll
they're
ever
gonna
know
I
that.
thought
It
they were gonna
changes.
pull out 200 million somehow.
Oh, and speaking of, and we're going to bring this up in the next show because we got to wrap this up shortly. You got to get up early, don't you, Derek?
I won't even be going to bed. I'll
Oh
be
my
on the
goodness.
road in
You
5 hours.
start that early?
I
No, he's
sleep
got to
4 hours
drive
a
his
night,
wife to
dude.
the airport.
So
Oh,
no, we'll
No,
see.
but
okay.
so let's save this for the next show.
Okay.
But remember that uh
Bugs.
that census my wife got?
Do
It
I?
was fake.
No, it was legit. She called the Census Bureau and
Really?
it was legit. And my wife told her flat out, why do you need to know my sexual preference? Why do you need to know my gender identity? What do you need to know all this stuff? They're like, well, certain people. She's like, well, I'm offended by it. And the lady's like, okay, we'll take you off the list. Don't worry about it. So
And it
because
was real.
they kept sending threats that they were going to come and arrest her if she didn't fill it out. This is punishable by law. I said, show up,
No.
come show up.
Really?
Yeah,
That can't be true.
All
You have to
right.
show me.
I read it on the
Derek, are
internet.
you willing to come back on next week?
What?
Will you come back on the show next week?
Yeah, probably.
Good,
That'd be great.
Unless
good.
I'm writing business.
Making money,
Well, I
making
don't
dough,
blame you
yo.
there.
Depends.
I
When
was,
Zach shows me his 10 life insurance policies that I get to rewrite for him, that might take up some time. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You know,
My wife needs to get a bigger life insurance policy on me. So
do it,
no,
do
we
it,
don't want to.
do
She'll
it
whack
before
me.
long, man.
She'll
Put the
whack me.
money on your head before you get old and unhealthy.
I'm already old and unhealthy.
Okay, let's hug, Jeff.
All right.
Still
So
love you, even though, yeah,
Zachy, don't go anywhere.
even though I don't believe in science and you don't believe in math, I still love you.
one's an
And
idiot,
I believe we're going to be
the
bigger
other's a
than Joe
genius.
Rogan. And I think I deserve some love.
Hey,
Good.
you keep telling me that. And look, you keep me positive, brother. I believe it.
Listen,
I
we're
believe
at
it because you
36
believe it.
shows. They only keep getting better. Let me quote your beloved Donald Trump. He knew people that would succeed, but they got scared and they quit. Don't quit.
I ain't who's quitting.
I'm just saying
I told you
that's
we're gonna
something
do
he
this show forever, and now we got a third wheel. Maybe we'll get
yeah,
Daniel on. There'll be four of us. Oh my goodness.
it's going to be great.
You gotta guilt people into subscribing and keep getting bigger audience people on, and then you'll boot me to the curb and
And then we'll get
You
you'll
know
be
what we're gonna do? Did you ever see the movie Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
at one point, but I couldn't
You remember
remember
the
a
list and
single
their
one.
names were on it on they were making fun of them on whatever this list was. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to people's houses. Is your username so and so and so and so? You didn't watch my show? There you So hey, you out there listening, speaking of, smash that subscribe button, tap the like button, hit the share button, send it to everybody, tell a friend, tell a phone. And we want to thank our sponsor.
and type on that comment button.
Yes, type it in. Do we need a younger, better version of me?
We're opening the doorway for a
Derek's
younger
here.
generation.
Younger, yeah, we want to bring in the millennial. Are you a millennial?
I think he is. Yeah, 30.
Yeah,
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 Yeah.
yeah,
by about 2 or 3 years.
because
Yeah,
we're
Yeah.
Gen X for sure.
yeah, barely, but yes.
Yeah.
I don't
We were the
identify.
last generation of badasses.
You were.
Yeah.
Hey, so
Nope,
let
no
me
argument.
shout out to my favorite tint company in Orlando, Turbo Tint. Derek, any specials going on?
Well, stay
If
tuned.
if
Black
they come
Friday,
in and say
Thanksgiving.
they came from Zach and came
We
from
can
the
do that. We
political
can do a
no-brainer.
custom code, actually. That would be really cool. I can do that. So you
Okay.
just gotta remind me to do that like tomorrow or whatever. And but
Ooh,
we
let's put it
will
on
be
your
having
website. You can
holiday stuff
advertise
coming up.
for us.
Was that?
I said, put it on the website. You can advertise for us. Watch this show, and maybe you'll get a discount.
I think we can
And
work
did you
something out.
change your slogan to show us your tent?
I
Come
have
on
a
down to
rep.
Orlando on the OBT and
I have a
show us your
repu.
tent.
They just do that anyway. They just walk right up to the glass. It's just not the welcome ones you want to
That's not the
see.
tint I'm talking about.
No, no, not
but
those,
but
not
speaking of, I'm
those.
going to be down at Derek's house of tint on Saturday, getting the beast detailed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to it.
My truck is going to look beautiful.
Better.
It's going to look not as beautiful as my wife's Bronco because that thing,
No,
oh
that
my
looked
gosh,
amazing.
wow. It looks like the
That looked
paint's
amazing.
dripping. I'm hoping mine will. But I haven't washed it. I've kept it dirty just for your detailer since he went on
Thanks a
vacation last
lot,
week.
man. You
Well,
know,
he went away. I could have washed it.
thanks a
Anyway,
lot. I love you and
guys,
appreciate you.
guys, we love and appreciate you for watching the show. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Come down and visit us in sunny Florida via your comments. Tell us what you want to hear about because now that the election's over, the political no-brainer is going to kind of skew. We're going to always run to politics, but we're going towards the what are we going after?
Conspiracies.
Conspiracy, Jeff.
Conspiracies.
I've got Jeff on the conspiracy train. He
I
loves
got
it.
3 books in the garage right now.
He was actually now turned over and turned on to 9/11, but we're going to dive into that one later on.
Yes,
So once
sir.
again, thank you for watching. We love you. We appreciate you. And until later, peace.
Peace.